Birmingham, Alabama, the Magic City, was named for Birmingham, England, one of the UK's major industrial cities. The railroad industry helped turn Birmingham of the U.S. into the Pittsburgh of the Southeast. Just outside the city limits, you'll find Barber Motorsports Park, an undulating ribbon of asphalt in a stunning park-like setting, a racetrack as beautiful as it is challenging. About 2 hours west of Atlanta, Georgia, and about a half hour outside of downtown Birmingham. Joining me on today's broadcast, IMSA WeatherTech champion Colin Brown. And Colin, this place will really test the mettle of the driver.
It sure will. This is one of my favorite racetracks in the U.S. We've got a lot of elevation changes, a lot of great passing opportunities that we see here on this screen. You'll see a lot of stuff down into Turn 5, and a lot of those passes being completed at the exit of Turn 5 in through Turn 7.
And Colin, if you can't get him coming out of 7, entering into 1 is always a good choice.
Yeah, you know, from the exit of Turn 7 all the way back around, it's really challenging to pass. But down there into Turn 1's a great place. Got a big downhill section, and you'll see a lot of side-by-side racing there.
And today, it's a perfect setting for the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama. Well, it looks like we're going to have to deal with some wet weather Yokohamas today.
Yeah, this is going to be tough. It's going to be really interesting to see how these guys deal with this weather. Obviously, being a shorter distance race, 45 minutes long, they're going to be on wet tires this whole time.
Drivers already in their car, getting ready to go. That's Jake Eidson, all strapped in and probably thinking a lot about the conditions.
Yeah, this is tough. You know, these guys are sitting here on the grid getting ready to go race. Obviously, the rain falling, and, you know, you're going to have that windshield wiper on, and really not sure what you're going to get down there into Turn 1 side by side for the start of this race.
And at only 59 degrees, it's going to be a cold racetrack and wet.
Yeah, this is going to be a full wet race the whole time. We're not going to see it dry out for this short distance.
2 different classes competing here today. You can tell the difference by some color schemes: platinum black mirrors, platinum black number panel. And for the gold class, gold yellow mirrors, and the gold also has a yellow number panel. But the cars look the same at Colin, they're really not.
Yeah, they're very close. So we've got the Platinum class, which is a new 2017 spec car, and then you have the Gold class, which is 2016 to 2014 spec cars. They all have paddle shifters, just a little bit difference in horsepower between the new Platinum cars and the older Gold cars.
There's Will Hardiman. You can see the black mirror signifying he's in the Platinum class, and here's Fazekas, Kurt in the Kelly Moss Road and Race entry, of course, with the Gold class has the yellow mirrors, as you can see there. We run 2 races per weekend, so round 3 was contested yesterday. Jake Eidson won the Platinum division, so you can see he has an 11-point lead over Trenton Estep in the Platinum class. And in the Gold category, Roman DeAngelis leads by 15 over Kurt Fazekas, and the winner yesterday was Roman DeAngelis. Getting ready now for round number 4 racing action here at Barber Motorsports Park. Anthony Imperato, you can see that wiper going. He's gonna be looking through that all afternoon.
Yeah, he sure is. I'm glad these guys have windshield wipers to help them out. It's gonna be quite an exciting race.
Pace car rolling off as we exit down pit lane. In the field, we'll get their first look at these wet conditions. How does your mindset change when it comes to a wet race as opposed to a dry race?
Well, I think these guys have done a lot of practice this week in the dry, not a lot of running in the wet. So they're really going to be unsure of what they have and where that rain line's going to be. And, you know, they're going to come down side by side for the start, and it's going to be a challenge because you don't know what you're going to be dealing with.
We'll see how they handle it. The Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama continues after this. Welcome back to the Grand Prix of Alabama weekend here at Barber Motorsports Park. Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA, presented by Yokohama. I should say presented by Wet Weather Yokohamas today, because that's what we're dealing with, a lot of rain and a cold racetrack. So Colin, because of that, this race is going to start under yellow, and that's because the officials want to give these guys some extra time to look at this track.
Yeah, so this is the first time these guys have had a chance to drive around this racetrack and look at where the rain line's going to be, where there may be some puddles, what to watch out for, you know, make sure to stay off these painted curbs. There's a lot of things to watch out for that they need to soak up here.
Let's take a look at our starting lineup. As you can see, Eitzen was on the pole yesterday, won the race. He's going to start there again today as we look back through the field. That's going to be a huge advantage for him with the spray and everything else.
Yeah, it's tough. You know, these cars are going to have a lot of spray off the back. Luckily, they have windshield wipers. That's going to really help them be able to look through the field. But, man, that front row is going to be at a big advantage.
The challenge finding a place to pass anyway, and then you take the vision out of it, and it makes it even worse as we look back through some of the gold class as well. Alan Metney, the other Kelly Moss Road and Race entry. Charles Luck on the inside of row 10. Going to have to be patient, but you're also going to have a lot of confidence in yourself on a racetrack like this.
Yeah, it's tough as we see him here coming to take the start of the race when the clock starts to run, obviously under yellow, again to take a chance to look at the racetrack. But yeah, confidence is going to play a big part. You know, some of these guys are new to this series. They may have not had a chance to drive these cars in the wet. So for many of these guys, this might be their first opportunity to get some wet weather driving. Obviously, a place like Barber with all the beautifully manicured grass, that's awfully slippery when you slide off. So a lot of things to think about, you know, as we come to the start of this race.
The race is 45 minutes in duration here today. You see just past the grass, so those big gravel traps will slow the cars down before they tend to find any kind of wall around this place. They've done a really good job of building a lot of safety in.
Yeah, they have. This is a great racetrack. Obviously, being an IndyCar track, they really look hard at the safety aspects for those guys. Really fast cars. So it's a beautiful facility and a lot of fun to race at.
Braking is going to change here as to how soon and how deep into those corners you can go. Look at the sliding right there. And of course, the opposite end of the braking is how quick you can get on the gas.
Yeah, you know, these cars are a challenge to drive in the wet. They don't have ABS. They have no traction control. So in many respects, this is about the purest form of driving and racing you can find. I mean, they're really well-balanced cars, but, you know, no electronic driver aids to help these guys out. So it all comes down to the talent of the driver behind the wheel.
Which is one of the reasons why it's so much fun to race in this series and why we have such a large field. And it's also one of the fan favorites on every one of these IMSA weekends.
Yeah, they're really exciting races, usually be in spec classes, makes it really tight, really competitive, wheel-to-wheel racing typically.
With the weather conditions being what they are, would it change where you think about passing today? We showed at the beginning of the show turn 1 and 5 and 7, but with this type of weather, would you maybe rethink that?
Well, I think it's going to depend on what your goals are in this race. I think some of these guys are thinking about trying to advance and make some passes, where other guys in the rain are going to just try to sit there, play defense, hope that some of these guys slide off the racetrack and they can be the recipient of other people's mistakes. You know, you kind of see two sides of drivers' minds when you have big wet weather races like this.
This is also the kind of day that can greatly impact the points championship.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very important to, you know, to think about your end goals. Are we racing for points or racing to win? How risky do we want to be on a day like today?
Headlights ablaze, and you can see the visibility issues right there just looking back down that front straightaway.
Yeah, that mist sort of hangs in the air at a lot of these racetracks, and the more that you have, you know, the quick cars going around, the more that just seems to hang in the air, and even if you don't see the spray off the cars, it's just a solid mist sheet, and it's a challenge behind the wheel for sure.
When you're behind one of these cars with those big wings attached to the rear end to help with downforce, it probably also changes how the spray comes off the car in front of you.
Yeah, it sure does. You start to see how the aerodynamics and how the air flows off the back of these cars when you're sitting a few feet behind the guy ahead of you, and you know, it changes. You know, you pull out, you just want to try to get a little bit of a draft, but you want to pull out and be able to see what's ahead of you too. So have that balance in these wet weather races versus what you want to do from an aero standpoint and what you want to do from a visibility standpoint.
Well, the lights are off on the pace car, so it looks like we might be seeing a green flag here any minute. You know, when you wake up as a race car driver and you look out the window on race day, you see the rain, some guys are really excited, some guys are really scared, and we're about to find out which ones are which today.
Yeah, these guys, as you see here, working hard here to try to build some tire temp. Brake temp, obviously, is a really important aspect as well, so these guys are working hard before the green.
You know, we talked about the different colors in the mirrors and the numbers to help signify the different categories and classes here. You can also tell from the headlight colors that gold headlights signify the gold class. The white lights are the platinum.
Yeah, Porsche's done a great job trying to help the fans differentiate the different makes of, or different classes here.
Making our way over to the final section of the racetrack before we make our way over to the front stretch. And it's a long front straightaway here too. So going into turn 1 in these conditions and downhill into 1, well, you're gonna find out the mettle of each of these drivers here real fast. Single file right now, but they should form up coming through the final corner.
Yeah, we start to see them pairing up a little bit here, pretty late though.
Big advantage for Jake Eidson. There's the green and we're underway.
We see all the spray too. Imagine driving down into turn 1 in the middle of the pack here. It's gonna be scary.
Well, and as we expected, Eidson with a big advantage. Let's see how everybody else handles 1.
Impressively clean, I would say.
Really picking their way through, aren't they?
Yeah, I think they're just being patient here on these opening laps, you know, just to try to get a feel for how much grip they're gonna have. This is the first time under green where these guys are seeing how much grip they have and what they can do.
Wow, look at that spray.
Thank God for the windshield wipers.
Yeah, Eidson just has a huge advantage being that far out front, doesn't he?
Yeah, he sure does. And they got enough of a gap between first and second.
Oh, there's some contact, some traction being lost, and guys running so close together, some paint being swapped and some pieces falling off.
Yeah, a little bit of parts there.
Man, look at that, how you can figure out.
Yeah.
Kudos to our camera crew, too, for being out there in these conditions.
Visibility is such a big aspect, especially on these starts when they're all bunched together. As it starts to string out a little bit, we'll see people pushing a bit harder when they can see what they're doing. Man, Jake Eidison's got a huge lead already here.
Well, if I'm him, I want to stretch it out as quick as I can and then find a comfortable pace and just try to hang in there.
Yeah, I think the further he can get away, the less he has to deal with racing these guys and the less risk he's going to have to take.
Well, this is all about survival here today. Hardiman running in second.
You see Landy and Snow here battling side by side.
Here's a pass up the inside as we make our way back to the front straightaway.
A little bit of contact there. Yeah, so for these guys coming, you know, now they've at least done one single lap. They can kind of start to pick where their rain line's going to be, where they're finding more grip, and I'm sure we'll see the pace pick up here.
Look at the gap. Eidson's already opened up 5 seconds between him and Hardiman, and Imperato back behind that. So we are underway here at Barber. Doesn't look like that sky here today. It's going to be a rain race for the win here in Alabama. Back here at Barber Motorsports Park, Ralph Shaheen, Colin Brown with you. Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA, presented by Yokohama. This is round 4 action. Race scheduled for 45 minutes, closing in on the 35-minute mark. Here's Corey Fergus in the 00, currently running in 5th.
See Andrew Long behind him here.
You can see all the rain on our camera lens. It's going to be this way all afternoon. That's a really good battle right in that group there. That's Snow and Landy.
Yeah, here we see Andrew Long looking at pass down the inside here into turn 5.
Yeah, that's Corey Fergus in the 00. He's going to get inside of him and take over 5th place. Tiptoeing through there.
Yeah, tough putting the power down there, trying to pass somebody with no TC on the exit. I mean, you've really got to work your foot putting that power down to get that pass completed.
These guys might not be physically tired when this day is over, but they're going to be mentally exhausted from the focus they're going to have here.
Yeah, they sure are. Nothing like a rain race to just wear your mind out. You've got to be constantly searching for grip and, you know, at the same time trying to stay ahead of the guys behind you, looking at the mist ahead of you, and it's a big challenge.
Here's Roma DeAngelis.
That's an impressive seeing a Gold Cup car up that high. Obviously, in the rain, it's a bit of a great equalizer. The horsepower is not quite as important between the two classes here.
Whoa, man, up and over the curbing there. And remember, you can tell the Gold class by those yellow mirrors, the yellow numbers, and also those yellow tinted headlights.
That big risk using that much curb. Those curbs are painted. Usually in the wet, the paint is pretty darn slippery. So maybe he's just trying that out for later in the race here.
up along the front straightaway, and it drops significantly down into turn 1 here as Jake Eitzen continues to lead. Now 7 seconds up on IMSA. In that group, you see the number 10 machine, Frank Rosso, the top racing entry.
Got a good little battle going on right here, though.
Tight group, and you can see them kind of moving out and away from each other to get better visibility. Front car in that group is David Baker, and the other top racing car, that's the 56.
And the tough thing is we've got a gold class car sort of mixed in with all these 3 platinum class cars. So a little bit of a, race within a race there.
Kavami in the 43, holding down 16th. Bill Smith is in that 42. That's the orange car, trying to get around the outside. Smith was in 20th, seeing if he can move up a little bit.
This braking zone into turn 5 obviously is one of the best passing opportunities on the racetrack, especially in the wet here.
He's got Alan Metney up there in front of him now too. He's trying to get around him. He's going to be on the outside here. Smith powers down and away. Good move, took advantage of it there.
Yeah, he sure did. I'm thinking he had a little bit of a visibility issue too, a lot of spray there. So, all about confidence and commitment on entry.
I got it. Oh, I don't got it, right? One of those days.
Yeah, it's man, these rain races are fun. Makes me want to go out there and drive myself in the rain.
You see CJ Wilson going by into 33. Usually for CJ, when he was playing baseball on a day like today, they're back in the dugout, hanging out, waiting for another sunny afternoon. Today, however, you got to get out on the mound.
Oh, this is impressive, Jake. Wow.
Jake Eitzen leading here in the rain, Barber Motorsports Park. Rain continuing to fall here at Barber Motorsports Park in Birmingham, Alabama. Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge presented by Yokohama, closing in on the 30-minute mark. Jake Eitzen, the overall race leader, and just continuing to stretch out his lead. Oh, here's our leader in the gold class on pit road, Roman DeAngelis, who won yesterday.
We see his mechanic here wiping the inside of the windshield. Looks like it must have gotten fogged up.
Big time fogged up. Sometimes those issues on a day like today, because of the cold weather mixed with the rain, really makes it difficult, not just on the outside of the car, but the inside as well.
Yeah, these Porsches are very derived from their street cars, so a little bit surprising to see a defrosting issue like that, but hey, you never know. It's anything can happen in a race car.
And usually does, right?
Yeah. Usually never when you want it to happen either.
Easep and Hardiman continue to run second and third. Here's the 23 machine. That's Fred Keimer. He's the leader now in the gold class. And there's DeAngelis back out, hopefully able to see a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm sure that makes your job as a race car driver a little easier when you can see. There's the Gold Cup leader.
Sounds like he's getting a fair amount of power down to the ground.
Yeah, those cars in the gold class are a 2016 spec car, and those guys have about 465 horsepower or so. So certainly enough to spin the tires here in this rain condition.
That kind of power, you'll spin them in the dry if you really wanted to, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's that battle we were talking about earlier. That's a good one there with the 49 machine. That's Sebastian Landy in the Alex Job Racing entry. He's been battling with snow throughout this race.
Yeah, these guys certainly are looking pretty darn racy here.
And that's the More Speed Racing entry of Corey Fergus just in front of them. So all three of them fighting over 6 as they go through 5, 6, 7, that whole complex there, which we talked about earlier. It's a great spot for making a pass.
Well, and here we are 15 minutes or so into this race. These guys have now seen this racetrack. They know where the wet spots are, where the puddles are, and we're going to start to see them get even more racy once they get their confidence up here of what they're working with.
That downhill section they just came through there in the dry, you would really be banging up and over those curbs. You can see they tried it a little bit, their confidence level getting up there, but still not attacking it the way they would in the dry.
Yeah, it's tough. You want to use all the racetrack that you can, and certainly the more you can use the curbs, the more racetrack you have, the more speed you can carry. But when you start to mix the water in there, you've got to really be careful about how much of the curb you use. And if you drive straight over the top of the curbs, you can usually get away with it. If you put some lateral load into the equation, that's usually when you have a mishap. So we'll see these guys continue to push more and more, I'm sure, in the closing laps here.
Jake Eidson now up almost 10 seconds on ESEP. Hardman another 10 back behind that.
Impressive to have a 10-second lead here in a spec class. Really good job by Jake.
Here's Roma DeAngelis trying to gain back what he lost. Driver out of Canada, won yesterday. Here's why he pitted.
This must have been a replay from earlier. And I'm sure he couldn't see, judging by what happened in the pits when they had to wipe the inside of that windscreen off. So I'm sure he went after that, hey guys, I gotta come to the pits and we gotta work on this.
Yeah, he thought he had his turn-in point right, and then when he went up and over the curbing, he thought, you know what, I just can't see anymore.
It's a scary feeling, I'm sure.
And a battle for the gold class lead going on here between Keimer and Gomez in the orange and green NGT-backed machine takes the lead. We're coming right back for more wet weather racing from Barber after this. Ralph Shaheen, Colin Brown with you here at Barber Motorsports Park. We're just outside of Birmingham, Alabama. This is round 4 of the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA presented by Yokohama. If you're just joining us, it's been raining all day here and it's not about to stop. That is your gold class leader right there, Gomez, being chased by his teammate. 2 cars out of the NGT Motorsport class, Fred Keimer running right behind them.
It's always a motivator when your teammate's leading you. You know you're in the same equipment, and it pretty much comes down to, you know, how risky you want to be in these conditions.
Gomez finished yesterday in round 3. He was second. Today he might take home the big trophy. Roma DeAngelis led this class early on. Comes a 52 machine right behind them. Kurt Fazekas, the Kelly Moss Road and Race gold class entry. You tell those gold class cars as they're coming at you, and the gold light beams in the headlights. Here's our overall race leader and the leader in the platinum category, Jake Eidson. Won yesterday, started on the pole yesterday, started on the pole today, and he's crushing them right now. 14 seconds up on second place ESEP.
Man, it is impressive. This guy, I think, has a pretty impressive racing resume, and none of it really comes from GT racing. He's done a lot of Formula Ford 2000, Formula Ford 1600, and Skip Barber racing. And recently, at the end of 2016, he won the 2017 Hurley Haywood sponsorship scholarship program, and obviously he's adapting really well to the world of GT racing here. It's quite a big step coming from what he's driven in the past. I mean, we got a lot more weight to deal with.
Whoa, speaking of weight to deal with.
Definitely a bit of rear weight there, sliding around. That's the number 42 machine.
Yeah, it was Bill Smith. We saw Bill making some great passes early on as he was coming through traffic. The driver out of Asheville, North Carolina, stuck in the grass right now.
One of our gold class competitors. But yeah, I mean, back to Jake. I mean, he's done a phenomenal job jumping from different cars and obviously really showing his pure driving skill here in the rain.
You mentioned that Hurley Haywood Scholarship Award. Well, if you get the tip of the visor from Hurley, that's a big statement.
Yeah, absolutely. So Yokohama's pledged a set of tires per weekend for him as part of that scholarship. Porsche Motorsports has given him some parts credits, basically, and it's a really cool program. IMSA stepped up with a free entry fee to every race for the scholarship winner, so certainly that's a pretty good value.
Bill looks like he's finally got the car rolling, and he'll continue. Doesn't look like a whole lot of damage to the car.
A little bit of left side damage there, maybe. Take a look at the replay here. Can't tell if he was inside of that platinum class car or if he just lost it on his own there.
Well, it could be just about anything because that's one of those aggressive downhill sections and he might have just been charging through there. Either way, he's back underway. We're going back to break, but we're coming right back to Birmingham after this. Stay with us. Getting down towards the conclusion, past the halfway point here with our Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA presented by Yokohama here today from rainy Barber Motorsports Park. This has been one of the better battles on the racetrack all afternoon. It's deeper inside the top 10, but it's the 63 of McKay Snow and the 49 of Sebastian Landy. Landy in the Alex Job Racing entry, McKay in the Wright Motorsports car, both of them in the Platinum class. They've just really been going at it today.
Yeah, they sure have, as we see them side by side here coming off the last corner.
The 63 is Snow. That's the red car with the white, and then the white with the red is Landy. That's the 49. And they got traffic to deal with here too.
Yeah, it looks like we got Corey Fergus right up ahead of those guys, and then actually I think it's the next group of cars right here. We've got Idison obviously checked out, but the rest of them are all sort of packed up right here in this group.
Idison still continues to lead overall by 17 seconds. He's way out front. This is one of those spots where we really thought you could make some things happen. Going into 5, coming out at 7, which is right there.
Yeah, we see him starting to squirm there, coming out of the corner, just putting that power down. Again, these cars, no traction control, so it's all about the drivers putting their foot down nice and smooth, getting those Yokohama rain tires to hook up.
How aggressive are you going to be up and over the curbing here? Oh, inside here. Peeking in there, trying to force his way through is Sebastian Landy in the 49. What was the inside of one corner becomes the outside of the next, and back to the inside up on the curbing, and he's got to tuck back into the spray.
That was not one of the spots we talked about being able to make passes.
No, that was not on the to-do list. Through here in the dry, this would be pretty fast.
Yeah, absolutely. We come through this right-hander up over a crest here that gets really light with these cars.
Then you start braking hard, putting a lot of weight on that left front.
And this is where you start to set up that pass, either
like
for this corner or
like
down
that.
into turn 1.
Nice move there.
Got a little reverse pass coming on here, it looks like.
Yeah, Landy got him. And then here comes Snow back inside going into 1, which should be a big advantage.
And you would think he's on the dry line, so he's got the corner.
Or drier. Whoa! That's a great way to rip the front end of the car off, but he really had no choice. You're going to have to back way out because Snow was going to give no quarter.
Ah, that's good hard racing, I think, side by side right there. That's what we like to see. Man, these guys are pushing hard. You see him up over that crest. A lot of steering input trying to keep these things straight.
Back down into 5. Fergus happy to have all this going on behind him.
Yeah, he's thinking, keep racing, guys. This is great. Let me just get away here.
Let's take a look at that move here going into 1 again.
We see inside here, obviously the preferred line on the dry. Or just good hard racing side by side. Gets pushed off a little bit here. Impressive in that wet grass. He doesn't get spun around or dig in too much.
Another look at it. See that big puddle on the exit there of 1, and oh man. Right back behind him, tucked into his spray.
Yeah, the 49 of Landy's sitting there thinking, all right, I'm going to try something here to get back past this guy. We've been racing all race. I think I'm quicker. We'll see if he can make another move here.
This would have been a great battle in the dry. It's an outstanding fight in the wet.
Absolutely.
We'll see how it finishes up with less than 20 minutes to go here at Barber Motorsports Park. Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA presented by Yokohama. Closing in on the completion here at a wet and soggy Barber Motorsports Park. Ralph Shaheen and Colin Brown with you. We've been enjoying this fight right here inside the top 10 with the 63 of McKay Snow and the 49 of Sebastian Landy.
See a gold class car there.
Yeah, that's Luck. Charles Luck.
Trying to do his best to stay out of the way.
Whoa, and he's going to get lucky here if he doesn't get taken out. Man, that's some aggressive racing by those two. And they still got Fergus in front of them to deal with.
Crazy split move there, obviously. As we see Landy looking the inside here on Snow.
Just like he did before, and Snow cuts back to the inside.
This looks like a replay, Ralph.
Sure does. Last time things got a little wide down here in 1. Landy on the outside. There he goes, splashing through the puddles again.
Gave him 6 more inches that time, maybe.
Yeah, but look,
wow,
he stayed right in it, didn't he? right up alongside of him still, which he wasn't the last time. Now he tucks in, crosses over, comes to the outside. And that time it works.
Wow, very impressive by Landy to get that pass done. That side-by-side for 3-4 corners at Barber's pretty impressive in the wet.
Sure is.
Now he's thinking, all right, run some clean laps. I got to check out because this is too much. This is way too much risk having to race here.
Wonder if he can catch Fergus just in front of him.
Yeah, we see that whole battle 3rd through 7th really right here.
I mean, they've been on Fergus all day. It's just whether or not they can get around him.
I'm fingers crossed for some more racing between Landy and Snow here.
It's been fun to watch. Jake Eitzen has led this one from the very beginning and continues to do so now. 21.6 seconds up on IMSA. Eitzen looking to sweep the weekend here. Or squeegee the weekend, maybe is better in the rain today.
Got a little bit of distance here between these top few.
See, here's how they got around Luck. Look at that.
And that was big commitment by Snow around the outside of Landy there.
The crossover and then back down here into 1.
And I still can't believe they ran side-by-side through turn 1, side-by-side through turn 2, and up through 3.
Yeah, and that was not overly aggressive driving by Snow. I mean, he just, you know, they were running so hard it naturally was going to take Landy out wide like that.
I think as we start to see this racetrack dry out a little bit too, we're starting to see the ability to run side-by-side a little bit more.
Oh, man. A hard hit here. Headed down towards turn number 5. And we've got debris all over the front straightaway. Yeah, or not the front straightaway, but I should say the straightaway leading to 5.
Yeah, it looks like he might have just got a little bit wide out of 4, dipped a wheel, and hooked off into the inside wall here.
That's
a
the
big
44 of Greg Palmer, and we're definitely going to go full course caution here.
It's pretty impressive. We've done almost 30 minutes of racing with no yellows this far, though, Ralph.
Wow, look at all the debris scattered along that straightaway there, and the Kelly Moss Road and race entry of Greg Palmer still nosed into the Armco barrier there.
Wow, that is a lot of debris. We see the tire wall on the inside torn up as well.
That's Bill Smith picking his way through there in the 42. There's your gold class race leader coming through there, Victor Gomez, who's hoping for his first win of the year here if he can hang on. 15 minutes to go, and you can see the pace car is now out. This is the closest anybody's been to Eitzen since the start of the race.
I'm sure he's pretty disappointed to see this caution come out and that big lead evaporate. Take a look at some of the radiators there out of the front of that Porsche.
Slightly used, only on Sundays.
Oh, that's a lot of parts.
You can see.
Good to see him moving around there,
Greg's
though.
moving around in there, just waiting patiently. And like you said, it's surprising as the safety crew gets there to check on him and pick up the debris that we've gone and raced as hard as we have here today. And this is only the first incident of the day.
Take a look at that replay. It looks like it happened right in front of 3rd and 4th place there, so.
You're coming up over a hill there, hard on the gas. I'm guessing the rear end of the car just broke away from him.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. I'm sure he got a little bit wide, maybe off into the grass on the left-hand side just a little bit, tried to pull it back onto the racetrack and just hooked to the inside wall there. In the dry, that's flat out up over that crest. In the wet, obviously it's not, and it's a place you've really got to be paying attention. It gets light up over the crest. These Porsches with the rear engines tend to have a little bit of momentum from the back of the car, so easy to have a little mishap like that. That translates into a big crash, obviously.
Right. An expensive day at the parts truck.
Yeah, these machines are really, really well-built race cars, and you can drive them incredibly hard, but you know, slips right over the limit, big crash. It's part of the consequences.
Well, they've reeled Eitzen back in. Can they do anything with him in the race to the checkers when we return? Well, the only thing that has slowed down Jake Eitzen here today at Barber Motorsports Park was not the rain. It was a caution, a full course caution as bunched the field back up. Eseb Hardiman and the rest all on his tail. We're gonna have 5 minutes of racing left to go as we come to the green flag once again.
Yeah, we see the track definitely a lot drier than when they had the initial start, so this is a good opportunity for these guys to capitalize, if they can.
Fanning out as they dive into one.
And I think we see the pack a little bit mixed up here because we've got a lot of lap down cars in between Idson and the rest of the field here, so this is gonna mix this restart up.
And look who's still battling together, and there's Snow and Landy still beating and banging on each other.
Those guys can't get away from each other.
Hardiman's in that group too, in the black and blue.
Yeah, it looks like he must have had a bit of a rough restart here, back into the clutches of Snow on the inside.
Oh, contact there. Snow in the 63 gets into Hardiman.
You know, pushed him back straight though, at least. That was kind. That was nice.
Helped him a little bit there.
And what a battle down here.
Oh, look at that, CJ Wilson off. Oh, and around goes a couple of cars. That's Landy and Snow. And Mosing in the yellow car makes some contact, and he gets up and off into the grass.
Yeah, just a local yellow here, obviously. These two guys hopefully can get back moving as we see Snow start to turn around.
Meanwhile, there goes your race leader, Idson, and back here in the black and gold Hertz pack number 3 is ESEP running in second place. Take a look at that replay.
We start to see CJ Wilson come into frame here backwards, which is never a good thing.
Or a good feeling.
Or a good feeling. Luckily that gravel trap slowed him down. Not sure what happens back here, Ralph.
They should be coming in here any second. There they are. You can see the contact, the rear wing coming to the front. That's Landy spinning first. Mosing tries to avoid him, and Snow's already around too.
That was destined to happen at some point, I think, over the course of those races. Those guys were battling so hard.
There's the beach number 3 of the Porsche Fresno car of CJ Wilson. And Mosing, because of that contact, looks like he's got a flat right rear.
Ah, full course caution here as well. I'm sure to recover CJ Wilson.
Or left rear. It's a left rear.
Yeah, it is a left rear. We see some damage to the door, and sort of that fender as well. Whoa, boy.
Hang on to that.
Nothing like a flat tire in the rain.
Yeah, right?
That's too bad. You know, Jeff obviously just a victim of the wrong place at the wrong time there between those two guys.
Top Racing Machine making its way back to the pits. And we're under full course caution with just 2 minutes left to go.
As we take a look at MLB pitcher CJ Wilson there in the gravel trap. Obviously not a lot of racing experience. I'm sure very limited racing experience in the rain as well. So it's cool to see him out there.
Well, the 21-year-old Idson right there in that number 24. Jake is going to take the weekend here at Barber, winning in the dry yesterday. And here's Mosing losing that left rear.
And that's one of those things, you have some contact like that, you know you only have a few minutes left, fingers crossed that it stays up and you don't have any damage, but obviously not so lucky here today.
He's just trying to limp it around, isn't he?
Yeah, it's tough. You've only got a minute and a half here or so left. You don't want to come to the pits. If you can just stay out under that caution, you're not having to go that fast, collect some points and move on.
You saw the safety crew over there trying to pull CJ Wilson's car off the beach, and while they try to do that, there's only going to be a minute left here, so it looks like this one's probably going to finish under full course caution.
Yeah, we see the white flag waving here, so it certainly will.
It's going to be Idson's third flag-to-flag win in a row this season. Boy, he is really dialed in.
Yeah, really impressive job. I know we talked earlier in the show about his transition from the open-wheel formula cars into these GT Porsches. He's done a phenomenal job. Really, really impressive. You know, we've seen some domination in the past, I think, in this Porsche GT3 Cup Series from different drivers over the years. But, man, this one, you know, start of the season here so far is awfully impressive from Jake.
Nice run by Trent Esep, too, back there in third in the Hertz car. You know, he brought that JDX Racing entry from 8th up to 2nd. And he's going to have 4 podiums in a row now in 4 races to kick off the season. And Victor Gomez is going to get his first win in the gold class.
Yeah, and Ralph, as we talked at the top of the show, some of these guys obviously are the recipients of a lot of other people's mistakes. You know, they sat, they ran a good, smart race, they stayed on the racetrack, and they saw themselves fall to the front of the field. So that's a big battle, you know, in these wet weather conditions.
And with the clock having gone to 0, we will see the checkered flag next time by. And Mosing just couldn't make it around. Too much damage, it looks like, too.
Yeah, too bad. You know, obviously he had a good run going there, it looked like, and it's part of racing these cars, though. You know, you never know what situations you're going to be in, and obviously with that caution coming out earlier, we bunched the whole field up and kind of put some guys that had just gotten maybe a lap down or so from Jake in between the guys battling for the lead right at the front, which mixes everything up.
Looks like they're just going to leave CJ there until the field goes by and then bring him in as the rest of the cars make their way to the checker.
Yeah, none of the tow truck drivers seem to want to jump out there in the rain and help too much, do they?
No. At least it should be drier over there in where CJ's at than in some of the mud puddles we saw around the grassy areas.
Disappointed we didn't get back to green. I would have loved to see that battle between Landy and Snow keep going. That was such a great battle all race.
Well, this is a, you know, hard to believe you're going to say this about a rain race, but a picture-perfect day for Eitzen. He sweeps the weekend. Oh, and there's that 49 car.
That's Landy, I believe.
And here's a checker. Jake Eitzen, as we said, a picture-perfect weekend on a rainy day, takes a dominating win and brings the car back in one piece. And here's Victor Gomez, his first win in the gold class. It'll come here in the rain at Barber.
Now we see Eitzen obviously driving for Kelly Moss. That's one of the staple teams in this championship the last couple of years. So no big surprise to see a Kelly Moss car up at the front.
And as clean as it was when it started the day.
Absolutely, just a little bit more water. Let that dry off in the shop. We're good to go to the next one. And you really, you know, Ralph, couldn't pick a better rain racing day. It wasn't too much rain. It wasn't too little rain where they had to think about wanting to switch back to dry tires. I mean, that was the perfect wet weather condition race where it was just a good, consistent, steady rain the whole time.
Well, and kudos to the engineers at Yokohama. They provided a great wet weather tire. And as you mentioned, these Porsche GT3s with all that power, we really didn't see a lot of adhesion issues here today.
No, and that's one of the things. Yokohama does a great job with the rain tire. Porsche obviously builds a really good car for the wet when you have that engine sitting right over the rear tires. A lot of traction provided from that heavy engine.
We're going to let the drivers dry off, and we'll come right back to wrap things up from here at Barber Motorsports Park. Well, we weren't sure how this one was going to play out. Round 4 for the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA, presented by Yokohama. When we woke up and saw all the rain today, but it was a very interesting and entertaining wet weather race. And when it was all done, Jake Eitzen, even though it finished under yellow, he was dominant here today.
Ultra dominant. Very, very impressive drive. Really, this whole season he's been pretty dominant.
Fans were, I think, entertained, though, by the competition on the track. Saw some great battles, including the one between Landy and Snow. And when it was all over, Eitzen, nobody could touch him here.
Saw some good battles between Snow and Landy.
Ecept did everything he could to hang on there. He's going to take second.
See a good battle between Long and Fergus here.
There's Snow and Landy. That was a lot of fun to watch, but Roman DeAngelis had problems with visibility, and then only one big incident here today. Fortunately, Greg Palmer was okay.
A little bit of radiator fluid coming out there. That was a great move by Snow on the outside.
CJ Wilson tested the limits of adhesion, and we saw Mosing have his problems with tires as he made contact and lost one of his Yokohamas, and finishing under yellow, the checker flag came out. And Jake Eitzen and the Kelly Moss Road and Race team sweeps the weekend here at Barber. Platinum Division cars all in the first 6 positions. Behind Eidson is Isep, Long, Imperato, Ferguson, Hardiman. Then our Gold Class winner, Victor Gomez, his first win in 2017, comes home in 7th. Roman DeAngelis battled back to finish 11th after leading quite a bit in the gold category. Now let's take a look at the point standings as we get ready to move on from Barber to Circuit of the Americas for the next round of competition. That'll be rounds 5 and 6. In the Platinum class, Eidson, 14 markers up on Trenton Isep. Fergus, Long, and Hardiman on the top 5. Hardiman and Snow tied there, 41 back. Over in the gold class, DeAngelis, even though he didn't win today and had his issues, still leads over Kurt Fazekas. Gomez with a victory sits in 7th. Overall, Colin, a great weekend of racing here as we get ready to move to Dakota.
Man, it sure was really exciting battling in the rain. I loved every minute of it.
That'll wrap up the action from here, the Grand Prix of Alabama. You can catch the next rounds of competition with the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA, presented by Yokohama right here. As we move to Circuit of the Americas, what can we expect there?
That's going to be a great race. You know, it's really good passing opportunities at Circuit of the Americas. Usually great weather. I'm looking forward to the battle.
For Colin Brown, I'm Ralph Shaheen. Thanks for joining us. Congratulations to Jake Eidson and Victor Gomez, your winners here at Barber Motorsports Park. So long, everybody.